So good Shabbos. Hours before the onset of Shabbos, I wanted to say good Shabbos to all our family and friends of the Chabad and baby community. It pains me that we'll be here with an empty shul. Nobody will be here this Shabbos. This is the first time that our community will not have Shabbat services in this beautiful new shul. And yet, we're unified with all of you and all of Klal Yisrael, as the entirety of the house of Israel will be celebrating Shabbos from the confines of their home. But yet it's a powerful Shabbos, and I want to share with you a couple of words that hopefully will empower your own Shabbos. Indeed, this was probably the most powerful Shabbos that history within the Jewish people could recall, that so many Jews will be powered down, just hunkered with their families, not just feeling restricted, but restricted maybe physically, but allowing for a spiritual opening for us to think about Hashem and God's blessings in our lives through our families and through our spiritual awakening and access to our neshama. And of course, this Shabbos, we look to see what is the message that we could live by at this present, historic, unprecedented time. This Shabbos, we read two parshas together, Vayakhel and Pekudei. It is Shabbos Chazak as well. We conclude the second of the 5 books of Moses, the book of Exodus, the book of Shmos. It's a Shabbos of strength. We also read a special maftir of HaChodesh, where God teaches us the mitzvah of Rosh Chodesh, that everything begins with the birth of the new moon, that it all would look so bleak, and yet we find rebirth within it. And of course, it's also Shabbos Mevarchim. We bless the forthcoming month, the month of Exodus, the month of freedom, the month of Nisan. So indeed, it's a powerful Shabbos, it's a special Shabbos, but there's a unique message to each and every one of us this week. For Shabbos Parshas Vayakhel-Pekudei, these two portions, many years, are read individually. Vayakhel symbolizes the idea of God asking Moses to gather the Jewish people together, like Kehillah, Vayakhel. It represents the community of Israel. And yet, Pekudei, Eile Pekudei, this is the enumerated details of how God constructed the tabernacle, the very first Mishkan, the very first temple in the desert. The day after Yom Kippur, the Jewish people constructed a house for God on this earth. But Pekudei means to count. And the difference between Vayakhel and Pekudei is that Vayakhel means Kehillah, means the community. It represents our communal responsibility and interdependency, that as a community we strengthen one another. We feel that we are incomplete when we don't bind and bond with a fellow. And yet Pekudei highlights that there must be individuality, there must be uniqueness, the unique gift of every individual to stand out and bring about his or her own unique gift to who we are and to what we represent in our world, to allow God to shine through our faculties, through our disposition, both intellectually, emotionally, and physically. How appropriate is the fusion of this juxtaposition? That on the one hand, as Jewish people, we must remember that we're interdependent and we feel when another person is in pain, and we rejoice when another person rejoices in their own personal simcha. And yet, we cannot be lost in the masses of crowds. We also have to bring about the uniqueness of each and every individual to feel what it takes to be able to imprint your world, our world, individually, each and every day of our life. The world waits for each and every one of us. A community is at large, one body, but to comprise one body, we must be gifting our own individual uniqueness and talents and brachas that Hashem gave us to create the entirety of the bigger house. This Shabbos, we feel like one people, and yet we are all going to be davening in our individual homes. How appropriate is this paradoxical existence this Shabbos as we read a fusion between Kehillah and Pekudei, the individuality of every person. This Shabbos, don't feel alone. You might be in a unique home, in a unique geographic area, but you're part of the bigger picture. And we are one, even though we don't feel each other physically, but spiritually we are there. So go about kindle your Shabbos candle, make Kiddush with your family, daven at the times we typically daven here in Shul, and we'll daven together apart, but not alone. So good Shabbos to each and every one of us, and may Hashem rid this world of this magefa, this pandemic that has frozen our world. Yes, we look for positive inspiration from within it, and yet it is incumbent upon each and every one of us to come out stronger and beseech from Hashem to rid the world of pain and suffering to so many families that are fearful of what tomorrow will bring for their loved ones, that can't stand the panic that is raging through our world. If we do our part and stay positive and demand from Hashem this Shabbos to bring about an era of utopia, an era of Shabbos, a world of Mashiach, a world where pain and suffering and disease will be rid from. And yet the reign of godliness, of love, of camaraderie, of Torah and mitzvahs will reign forever with the revelation of Hashem through the coming of Mashiach, b'mheira v'yameinu. Amen. Shabbat shalom and a peaceful Shabbat.